Hello everybody, Dylan Cliche here. Welcome to another episode of Dylan's Disney Movie Reviews. Let's talk about Pixar employee Andrew Stanton. Andrew Stanton is one of the most well-known Pixar directors, along with John Lasseter and Pete Docter. He attended Cal Arts and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts from it in 1987. While he was at Cal Arts, he animated 2 shorts with Somewhere in the Arctic in 1986 and A Story in 1987. He would then join Pixar in 1990 as their second animator, with John Lasseter being the first and 9th employee. After working as a writer on Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, and Monsters Incorporated as a screenwriter, he directed his first Pixar movie with Finding Nemo, which was critically acclaimed and was a huge success at the box office. After that, he would go on to direct WALL-E, Finding Dory, the sequel to Finding Nemo, and is currently directing the upcoming Toy Story 5. In the early 2010s, Stanton directed his first and so far only live-action movie, and it's what I'm reviewing this week. Released on March 9th, 2012, the movie is John Carter. The film starts with a narration from Tars.
Mars. So you name it and think that you know it. The Red Planet. No air, no life. But you do not know Mars. For its true name is Barsoom. And it is not airless, nor is it dead. But it is dying. The city of Zodanga saw to that. Zodanga, the predator city. Moving, devouring, draining Barsoom of energy and life. Only the great city of Helium dared resist, stood strong, matched Zodanga airship for airship, holding fast for 1,000 years. Until one day, the ruler of Zodanga became cornered in a sandstorm. And everything changed.
During a war with airships, the Jeddak of Zodanga, Sab Than, played by Dominic West, receives a weapon from Tharn leader Matai Shang, played by Mark Strong, that will allow him to rule Barsoom.
Being a fool is a great luxury, Sabzan. Get up.
What are you?
We serve the goddess. And she has chosen you to receive this weapon. Do as we command, and you will rule all of Barsoom, with none to defy you, and nothing to stand in your way.
We then come to New York City in the year 1881, where John Carter has died, and his nephew Edgar Rice Burroughs, played by Daryl Sabera, goes to his house for the funeral and meets Carter's attorney, Noah Dalton, played by Nicholas Woodson.
You won't find a keyhole. Thing only opens from the inside. He insisted. No embalming, an open coffin, no funeral. Ah, you don't acquire the kind of wealth your uncle commanded by being like the rest of us, huh? Come, let's go inside.
After the funeral, Dalton gives Edgar his uncle's personal journal to read to hopefully find the answers to his death. Dalton then leaves and Edgar starts reading the journal.
My dear Edgar, I remember how I used to take you on my knee and tell you wild tales which you always did me the great courtesy of believing. Now you are grown. Time and space have parted us, but I reach out across that distance to that same wide-eyed boy and ask him to believe me once more. This wild tale begins 13 years ago, in the Arizona Territory. between the Pinaleño Mountains and the backside of hell.
We then see a flashback of Fort Grand Outpost in 1868, where John, played by Taylor Kish, stops at a shop owned by Mr. Dix, played by Don Starr.
No more, Carter.
Is there a problem, Mr. Dix?
Yes, you're a goddamn loon. Took all your money, Carter. Your tab's $100 in arrears.
I'll pay. This old Yavapai I met said he'd seen the cave, man.
No, stop. Not one more word about your cave of gold.
Oh, now. Show some respect. It's the evil spider, Cave of Gold.
You cut off, Carter. Now get on home.
Now, I do believe he done told you to get on out of here.
I'll leave when these bags are full.
John then gets arrested by Colonel Powell, played by Bryan Cranston, who knows about his military background.
Fine swordsman. Decorated 6 times, including the Southern Cross of Honor.
At 5 Forks, the company under your command nearly turned the tide.
In short, a born fighter. And in the eyes of Uncle Sam, a necessary man for the defense of the Arizona Territory.
No,
Son, we are up to our chin straps in Apaches.
ain't my concern.
I believe it is your concern, Captain. Folks are being attacked in their own homes, slain.
You started it. You finish it.
Oh. You've gone native, have you?
Apaches can go to hell, too. We're nothing but a worn species, and I want no part of it.
You're a cavalryman. That makes you valuable to our country and our cause.
Later, John knocks out the guard, escapes, and steals the colonel's horse. The cavalry of soldiers then encounter a group of Apaches.
That's Domingo's band.
Shut your damn mouth, Corporal.
Shiso Hashinta, Kunansinka, Disilada Bishadi, Dunidi, Swada.
Disalada, Bisa, Ati.
What's he saying, Carter?
He, Bizet, a Koli. There's two.
What the hell's he saying now?
It's done it.
What the hell's he saying, Carter?
He's saying!
John and the injured colonel are then chased by the Apaches, but luckily they manage to hide in a cave, which is what John was searching for, the Spider Cave of Gold. A third shows up and attacks the two men with a knife. John manages to kill him, but accidentally activates the Thurn's medallion.
What? Basom.
John's then sent to Barsoom and has a little trouble walking because of the low gravity. But then he manages to use it to get around and sees some Martian hatchlings.
Where the hell am I?
He's then encountered by some Martians called Tharth.
Nartu heb nun tala, Jedak.
Engalel.
Tars Tarkus, voiced by Willem Dafoe, and John introduce themselves to each other.
Jeddak. 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 Tars Tarkus.
Tars Tarkus. Captain John Carter, Virginia.
Virginia. Virginia.
No. My name is John Carter. I'm from Virginia.
Virginia. Sak. Solid sak pachach.
Sack.
Sakva. Sak.
Sack.
Sak.
Sack.
Sak.
Yes, sir.
Virginia. Virginia. Salamo pop. Satan. Satan.
The Tharks then capture John, and then we see the Princess of Helium, Deja Thoris, played by Lynn Collins.
Goddess, help me. I'm hopeless. Always coming too strong. Your Highness.
My Jeddak. After years of tireless research, I present to you the answer. I hope.
Her father, Tardis Moores, played by C.R.on Hines, then comes in.
Father, what's happened?
Deja.
I know the terms set by Sad Fan. What I want to know is, can we afford to reject them?
Santos Can, played by James Purefoy, explains what Sabthan has done.
Sabthan has burned through our defenses, and the border folk have been massacred. Our best troops and fleetest ships are proven less than useless. And now comes word that our last remaining squadron has been lost.
Helium is lost. My people. I have failed them all.
Deja then explains that she found out that Sabthan discovered the ninth ray, which is unlimited power, and that he only uses it for slaughter.
Think of what helium might accomplish with such power. Transform the deserts, restore the seas.
Is this what you saw, Kantos? It's starting to look very close.
Give it time. It will work.
Cardos then tells Deja that Sabthan will spare Helium if she'll marry him, but she refuses and tells her father to find another way to save Helium.
There is no other way!
If there were, I would risk anything to seize it. This is the chance we have been given. Perhaps it is the will of the goddess.
No. It is your will.
Cardos is then told that Sabthan is on his way.
They signal for permission to land.
Granted. And let us prepare ourselves for a wedding.
I have destroyed the device Matai Shang. She was on the verge of discovery. All is in place. They will consent to the wedding.
Keep close watch over her. We don't want anything to interfere with our next move.
Meanwhile, the Tharks take John to their kingdom along with the hatchlings, and Tars tells Sakoja, voiced by Polly Walker, to let Sala, voiced by Samantha Morton, have a hatchling, and she takes John.
Narsola J. Chultam Hoklenas. Oshang!
What happened to you?
John tries to take a medallion from a Thark, but then Tal Hadges, voiced by Thomas Hayden Church, tries to kill him, but he's stopped by Tars.
Bohem tuksan samor.
Old Tavak Troy Samor Pa.
Oazatam tru gevul. Gig yavul tu.
Tars then explains that John is not a hatchling and that he's known as Virginia.
Engelen! Again! How the gig, Virginia? Suck.
Tars then tells John to jump, but he doesn't, so he has Sala take him to Sakoja to initiate with the hatchlings.
Thor. Va. Kar.
Wasn't that stuff?
Koisabarsu. You will hear it if you choose.
Later, John manages to break free from the chains and tries to escape. However,
How did you?
Quit it!
he then comes to a gathering of Thar. The creature intrudes and is then attacked. John kills the attacker, Tars talks, and John understands him.
You killed him with one blow.
Wait. I understood you.
What have you done?
Get off! Get off him! How did this happen?
is to blame?
The next day, John and Saul are chained around a stone column, and Saul gets the branding.
Enough!
There is no room for another mark, Sola. Your next offense will be your last.
Tars then orders John to jump, but then...
Flyers! You are the stones, the sand!
Thane is then about to marry Deja, but she escapes and is saved by John. After a battle, John's made into a warrior called Datar Sajat.
To the plunder!
Later, Deja asks John for his help, but he refuses, saying that he has a cave filled with gold somewhere.
Only a madman would rave about the time of oceans.
Is that your expert view? I'm mad.
Or a liar. She is a good match for you, Dr. Soja.
Don't call me that.
There are no seas on the planet.
You said planet.
Deja then shows John that he's on Mars, or as they call it, Barsoom.
Mars. I'm on Mars. Good God. I'm on Mars.
So, now home is Jasum, and you came on one of your sailing ships across millions of carats of empty space?
No. Not like that.
Go on. Shock me. How?
That brought me here.
Oh. Well, that explains everything, then.
It does?
Yes. You're a Thurn. And you simply wish to return to your rightful place. Isn't that it?
Yes.
Then let's sort this out right now. Come along.
Deja then takes John to the temple, which is forbidden, where she shows him the goddess Isis, and he asks her if she's a Thurn, since that's what Deja called him.
No, she is Isus. Therns are holy messengers of the goddess. In the time of oceans, they walked among us, guiding us. We must not offend. Let us go!
John then sees a prophecy that says, those who seek the solace of eternity may journey down the river through the sacred gates of Es and find everlasting peace in the bosom of Isis.
The gates of Is.
What if I could take you there?
What if I didn't trust you?
Then we'd be even. I can take you to the gates. To the answers that you seek. Away way back to Jasum.
Earth.
Earth. It's the least I could do to repay you for getting us out of here. Assuming that you can.
Deal. Go on. Shake it as a sign of trust. Good enough. Now all I need to do is get this medallion off Tars Tarkas.
They're then captured by Sokoja, and she takes them to a tent. Tars arrives and asks her what's going on.
Isis has been profaned. We found this one and the Red Wench plotting in the temple.
In the temple? How did they get...
Sola led them there.
Sola tried to stop us. I meant no disrespect to your goddess, Tars. I'm just trying to get
Your
home.
right arms were planning to rob you of the medallion and use it to commit greater blasphemy down the river Is.
They must all die in the arena. How could you do this? I spared your life. I made you Dota Soldat, yet her life means nothing to you. You knew she had no room for another mark. Now, Sola will die because of you.
She's your daughter, isn't she?
Who told you that? Call it a father's intuition. A Thark has no parent but the Horde. But how do you know? Her mother kept her egg in Solis, the last flicker of her ancient greatness. You can't just stand here and let her be killed. My right arms offend me. I will cut them off.
Tars says that when John goes down the river, Sola will go with him.
I'd rather you died in the arms of the goddess than as food for wild bants in the arena. Where you go, she goes.
What's gonna happen to you, Tars?
Oh, leave the Thark his head in one hand and he may yet conquer.
So the group begins their journey, and after a while, Sola starts to think that Deja's not taking them to the S and that she's leading back. So John tries to leave her behind, and Deja says that she can't marry Sabthan, who offered a truce to her father for her hand in exchange.
Your father?
Todos Mos, the Jeddak of Helium. She is a princess.
Princess of Mars. How about that? A princess who didn't want to get married, so she ran away.
No.
That all there is to the story?
No! I didn't run away! I escaped!
From what? His breath? So marry the guy and save your people.
A life of oppression that's not living!
Soon enough, they reach the S, and Sola tries to honor her Jeddak, but John orders her to stay alive and help him to honor her father.
My father?
Sola,
Why would you say that?
that's what drives your compassion. The blood of your father, Tars Tarkas. And of all the Tharks, you're the only one worthy of him. And your duty to your father demands that you see me through. Just help me find the gates. Then you can decide what honor requires.
Just do the gates then.
So the group goes down the river and they come to a cave. John and Deja go to the top of it and then they go inside and find out about the ninth ray.
The ninth ray is real. It can be harnessed. Do you see? His entire structure runs on ninth ray isolates. Mother Isis. Such power. And somehow Zatenga has it. And you, John Carter of Earth?
Yes, ma'am.
And the ships that sail on the sea. You've seen them. That must be a beautiful sight.
It truly is.
A diagram of the solar system then appears and they check it out.
What's it say?
I'm not sure.
Okay, what do you think it says?
It appears to be a kind of technical diagram. Here is Barsum, there is Jarsum. This glyph here, it's like our symbol for a transcription, a copy, sent along these lines here, between the worlds, like...
The telegram. You're saying I was telegraphed here. I'm a copy of myself.
Possibly making these words here the command for travel. I don't like guessing. I need more information. I need charts, codices.
Right. And where might we find those?
In the Hall of Science.
And where's that?
Helium.
John and Deja leave the cave, get chased by Shang's minions, and John attacks them. After the attack, Deja reluctantly decides to marry Sab. Later, John meets Cantos, who has John take them to a high tower. At the tower, he sees Deja, who is dressed up for the wedding. She tells John that she's going to marry Sab Thane.
You can't seriously be considering this.
What other choice do I have?
Don't marry him.
Give me a reason not to. Will you stay and fight for helium? Will you stay and fight for helium?
Deja.
We have a saying on Barsum. A warrior may change his metal, but not his heart. You were right.
She then gives John his medallion back to send him home.
Repeat after me. Ok, Ohem, Octe. Say it now. Ok, Ohem, Octe.
Ok. Ohem. Octe.
Please. Jasum. Jasum, say it. Say it. Say it.
Deja? You alone?
Well, my Jeddak, the moons will soon be rising. Let us not delay the proceedings any further.
Yes. Yes, of course.
After Deja leaves, John has decided to stay and is captured by Shang.
We'll have plenty of time to talk.
Shang explains to John that thirds manipulate the civilizations of different worlds to their doom, feeding off the planet's resources in the process. John then manages to escape on a flyer. He picks up Sola and they return to the Tharks for their help, but find out that Tall Haggis has overthrown Tars, who throws John into the dungeon where Tars is.
What have they done to you?
Down challenged. I lost. Virginia. When I saw you leap into the sky, I wished to believe it was a sign that something new can come into this world, that the greatness of our Thark race might rise again. But it is too late. No matter. My daughter is with her mother in paradise. There is comfort in that.
Tars. It's Sola. Actually, she's here with me.
This is how you repay your debt to me? Tars, need my sword, that it would harvest your thoughtless head from your body. Healing there.
John and Tars are then taken to a coliseum where they're put on trial to fight against two four-armed great white apes.
Tars! Tars! Give me a hand, Tars! You have more than hands! Give me one!
Father! Father?
Tars! Tars! Hey! Hey! Hey, over here, you blind monkey!
John manages to defeat them, kills Haggis, and is made into the Thark's leader, and the army rides off to the wedding.
You! Why is Sodanger undefended? Where is everyone?
The army's been repositioned outside Helium. Only a small contingent remains.
Zab and Deja Thoris, where are they?
They're at the wedding. In Helium.
John then boards a flyer and flies to the wedding, where a battle starts. then arrive and join John in the battle.
Virginia! It is good to fly!
Isis, they fight with us!
Brother! Heliumite, huh?
After the fight, John proposes to Deja and she accepts.
By the ancient right of moons and water, are you bound together, husband and wife?
During their first night together, John chooses to stay on Mars forever and tosses his medallion. However, he is then encountered by Shang, who sends him back to Earth.
Paul? No.
Oak, Oem, Okte, Wiz, Barsum. Ogoem, Okte, Wiz, Barsum.
We then hear a narration from John.
50 million miles apart, and no way to bridge the gap, no way to return my body and my soul to their true home. Like a fool, I had thrown away my medallion. Then I recalled Matai Shang, his knowledge of Earth, of my history. It meant Therns were a presence on this world. The cave in Arizona was proof. There might be other such proofs, other Thern way stations hidden all around the world. I knew now what the Cave of Gold must be used for. So for 10 bitter years I searched. On the trail of rumor and legend, I ferreted out every possible evidence of the Therns. But I found no medallion. And then, it came to me.
After those 10 years of looking for a medallion, he seems to have died and has asked for unusual funeral plans.
Why the door can only be opened from the inside. For if my body dies on Earth, then my copy dies on Mars.
It then goes back to the present day where Edgar has just finished reading the journal. He runs out to John's tomb and by touching the letters N-E-D and the words Enter Nundos, he opens the door, but the tomb is empty. Then a man with a bowler hat behind Edgar, who is really Shang, is killed by John.
Hello, Ned. Toxin. Derived from the puffer fish. Simulates death.
You never found the medallion.
No. That's why I'm so grateful to you for bringing me one.
I was just bait.
No. You're far more than that. I really do need a protector. That is, if you're willing.
John then goes back into the tomb with the medallion and goes back to Mars.
Ohem, Octe, Weaves,
Barsoom.
Barsoom.
And that was John Carter. What did I think of it? I liked it, but it bombed at the box office. On a budget of $263.7 million, the movie only made $281 million worldwide, making it one of the biggest box office flops of all time, making Disney lose between $149 million to $265 million and got mixed reviews from critics. Originally, there were going to be 2 sequels to this film, which would have been titled Gods of Mars and Warlords of Mars. But because it bombed, they were canceled, and Stanton went back to Pixar to direct Finding Dory. Now let's move on to the production of the film. The film's mostly based on the novel A Princess of Mars, published in 1917, which would be the first of 11 books written by Edgar Rice Burroughs, and would feature John Carter, and was originally serialized in installments from February to July of 1912 as part of Pulp Fiction magazine, the All-Star Story. The chapters were first titled Under the Moons of Mars and got collected as a hardcover book by A.C. McClurg. When adapting it into a feature film, Bob Clampett of Looney Tunes went to Burroughs in 1931 and said he wanted to make it into a movie, to which Burroughs responded enthusiastically and realized that a normal live-action feature would have a bunch of limitations in order to adapt. So he told Clampett to create an animated feature about John Carter. While working with Burroughs' son John in 1935, Clampett would use rotoscope and other hand-drawn techniques to create the action. The test footage was made in 1936, but received bad reactions from U.S. exhibitors. So the film was rejected, and Clampett instead went to create an animated series about Tarzan, but was refused in the late 1950s. Ray Harryhausen showed some interest in creating a film adaptation, but then the 1980s producers Mario Kassar and Andrew G. Vajna were able to purchase the film rights, and the Walt Disney Studios would receive them by Synergy Pictures. Ed Elliott and Terry Rossio were hired to write the script, and John McTiernan and Tom Cruise wanted to direct it and be the star respectively. But it collapsed after McTiernan noticed that effects weren't ready to create Barsoom and Burroughs' vision yet. Sometime later, producer James Jacks read Harry Knowles' biography, which had loved the John Carter series. So he tried to get Paramount to buy the film rights, which was a war against Columbia Pictures and Paramount won. Jacks would then contact Knowles to be an advisor for the film, and Mark Proteskovich would be hired as a screenwriter in 2004. Robert Rodriguez joined to direct after Knowles showed him the script. Recognizing that Knowles was an advisor to a lot of filmmakers, Rodriguez asked to be a producer. The filming started in 2005, and Rodriguez planned to use the all-digital stages. But then Rodriguez quit the Directors Guild of America in 2004. Paramount would then hire Cary Conran to direct the film with Aaron Kruger as writer. But then Conran left and was replaced by Jon Favreau. He and Mark Fergus tried to make their script faithful to the book, but then Paramount chose not to renew the film rights in favor to focus on Star Trek, leaving Favreau and Fergus to work on Iron Man instead. Then Pixar director Andrew Stanton, who read the book when he was a kid, decided to get the rights. Andrew would heavily seek Disney for the chance to direct it. He pitched it as Indiana Jones on Mars, which made the studio skeptical since Andrew had never directed a live-action film and he wanted to make it without any big-time actors. But he was approved as director in 2008. The first draft of Part 1 of a proposed trilogy of John Carter was completed. So after finishing WALL-E, Andrew visited the Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated archives in Tarzana, California for research. Jim Morris, the general manager of Pixar, said that the movie would have a different look than Frank Frazetta's illustrations, which they both thought were dated. He also said that there was less pre-production time for any of his usual animated projects. The task was easy though, since he had read Burroughs' novels when he was a kid and visualized a lot of scenes. For the casting, Andrew said that he didn't have any grand design for the cast with the exception of the villains who were played by British actors. They considered a lot of actors for the title role and were aware that Carter's backstory, where he was a Confederate Army officer, may be a problem for modern audiences. So Andrew envisioned Carter as somebody disillusioned and disgusted with war in general. Aside from whose side he was on, Taylor Kitsch was immediately the first choice for the title role because of a scene from the Saturday Night Lights TV series, where the character was angry and was left behind by a bus. It captured Andrew's vision for him because Kish's pose mirrors John on one of the covers of Andrew's own book. For the part of Deja, their first choice was an actress who had just graduated from Juilliard named Lynn Collins. When filming the scenes with the Tharks, Willem Dafoe and Samantha Morton wore motion capture suits and walked on stilts with cameras attached to their suits to focus on their facial expressions and were used on their characters' faces. Dafoe also had the challenge of speaking in Thark. The language was developed by Paul Frommer, who previously did the same thing for the Na'vi language in Avatar. The principal photography started in January 2010 at Long Cross Studios in London and finished in July in Kanab, Utah. During production, some of Andrew's friends from Pixar's Brain Trust argued that the movie should start when Carter finds himself on Mars rather than having Burroughs finding his written account about his time on Mars, which leads to his death and flashbacks on it. But Andrew thought that it would be lazy and told them that if he does that, then 30 minutes in he's going to have to stop the film to explain the war. So they compromised by starting the film with a battle on Mars, and then the Zodangans get nanofoam gun from the Therns, When filming the airship fight, it was done on a soundstage in London, which required extensive pre-production work. Mendel, along with the lighting crew, began to work on designing the rig for that scene long before it was time to film it, and would share their work with the effects teams that used Leader It Map It out for all the sets. The production would then move to the Utah desert, where there were a bunch of weather changes such as sandstorms that made a lot of people at the location wear goggles while working, as well as burnouses. Animating the Tharks, especially during fight scenes, was proven to be tricky, so the software was upgraded. And now it's time for me to give my opinion on the film. In the end, while John Carter is a pretty good film and Andrew Stanton did a nice job directing it, I think I prefer him better as a Pixar director. So I'll give this film a rating of 3.5 stars out of 5. Well, that's it for John Carter. Be sure to join next week when I'll be reviewing the most controversial thing that Disney has ever made. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell your friends about me, leave some questions in the comments below, subscribe, and hit that like button.
Hello, ladies.